Hello everybody. Welcome on in here to our user group webinar. Today we're going to be covering some security settings in the Church Windows program. We'll be talking about setting up usernames and passwords as well as backing up your data from the Church Windows program and a few policies involved in those two features as well. My name is Jim. I'll be leading our webinar here today. I'm coming to you live on a sunny blue sky day here in Columbus, Ohio. Spring has finally sprung. I hope everything's going well for all of you guys out there as well. We will be going for the next 20 minutes or so covering these topics. On your screen, you are going to have a GoToWebinar control panel with a red button with an arrow on it on that control panel, which is going to allow you to either minimize that control panel to get a little more space on your monitor to see what we're talking about in our webinar, or clicking it again will maximize that control panel to give you access to the different features in there, including the questions box. I should be joined here shortly by Josh, who will be helping me out on questions as we go through our topics here today. If you could keep your questions specifically to the topics at hand, that would be helpful to us, just specifically about usernames as well as backing up your data. Let's go ahead and get started on that topic. I will be covering version 18.15.3, which is our current version of Church Windows at this time. If you are on an earlier version of Church Windows, version 18, if for example you're on 18.15.2, we do have a download available. Here's our website at churchwindows.com. There is a link in the center of our homepage right here, right there, to download updates, where you're going to be able to find the 18.15.3 update right here at the top of the screen. So just so folks know that that version is now available. That's what we're going to be talking about. That's the version we will be using for our class here today. So I'm going to start our class here by actually exiting out of Church Windows. When you first launch the Church Windows program, you simply double click on your icon there on your desktop. After it does a little error checking to make sure everything's up and running with the databases, it will open the program. Notice here that when I launch my version of Church Windows here, it takes me directly to my opening screen, and I can get access to all of the different parts of the program from here. I know that church offices can be busy places, and in general, you don't want anybody to be able to sit down at somebody's computer, double click on that icon, and get access to your donations information or your accounting information from there. So we have features built in to our Church Windows program that allow you to get access to the users, access to setting up usernames and password in the Church Windows program. That is located here from your admin menu. When you click on that, it opens up a little ribbon bar above that, and setting up usernames is done here underneath security. Clicking on that takes you to this window here. There's two sections here on your security section. Down the left side of the page, to the left of this yellow line, is where you're going to have a listing of all of the folks you have set up with usernames and passwords in the program. When you have one of those names selected, all of the information on the right side of the screen are all of their specific settings. Again, I don't have any set up in my system now, so to create a new user, I'm going to click my Add button in the lower left-hand corner. That brings us to setting up a new user. Full name is just that. That's the person's name that you're setting up. So I'm going to set myself up in the system. Username is going to be what they actually enter into the system for their username. So I'm just going to set myself up as Jim. And then password you set up below that. Okay, so notice on the right side here that the username is not case sensitive. What that basically means is when I type in my username, it can be a lowercase j when I type in Jim there. But the password is case sensitive. So whatever capitals or lowercase letters in the password do matter when you're typing in your password to get into church windows. The other thing that when you're on this screen is that if you're looking at people's information on this window, their password is going to be grayed out basically. It's going to show asterisks, and you're not going to be able to see that information here on this screen by default. But if you want to reveal that information, you simply point your mouse at the word password on your screen, and simply double clicking on that password is going to show you a particular individual's password. So that's a good, if you're the security administrator in church windows, you can see what everybody's password is just by double clicking on that word password on this screen. So let's take a little tour of what the different settings here in the security screens are all about. Starting with access security screens up at the top. Right here, this one underneath where it says allow user access to security screens. That setting is the ability to get to this window, quite simply, to be able to come in here, either review existing users that you've already got set up in church windows, change their settings, or even add new users. So this is the keys to the castle, basically, accessing security screens. Below that, you've got your Restore Backups section here. We're going to be talking about backing up data in just a few moments. Everybody by default is going to have access to backing up data. However, restoring data is a permission that you have to set for folks. Whenever you restore a church Windows backup, what it functionally is going to do is overwrite the data you have on your computer with the data from the backup that you are restoring. It does not merge the data together and kind of pick whatever the most recent information is. It replaces what you have with the data from whatever backup you are going to be restoring. That does allow folks occasionally to restore older backups. So for that reason, you do want to restrict who has access to restoring backups, just to the folks who you trust most with that type of feature there. Below that is the section for system information. That is your church address, licensing information, all of that type of information. So you can limit folks to read-only access to that, not being able to see it at all with a none setting, or full allows folks to change the system information, like your tax ID number, your church's phone number and address. Things along those lines are located there for system information. Okay, so from there's a series of tabs along the top of the screen that give you permission to the various modules in church windows. It's pretty granular the way that you can set these up. I'll start by going to the membership module. We are not going to go over every single setting in each of these tabs, but as a general overview for the way these things work, there are 4 different types of access you can have to all of these individual sections in church windows. View permission is the sort of first level, I suppose. That's the ability to go in there and see all of this information. Also, you'll notice that if you scroll down, when you get to the reports section, view is going to be the only level to that. So because reporting, you're only viewing the reports. There's no changing that stuff. So then you'll see create and modify and delete permissions as well. Create, of course, is the ability to add a new record or a new whatever for that particular section of the program. Modify is the ability to take something that already exists and change it. And delete, of course, is the ability to get rid of something in that section of the program. So on the membership tab here, for example, the members visitors section here is where you store all of your membership records. The ability to view all of that data is to look at your members in the system. The ability to create new folks, add new records to the membership database. Modifying is the ability to change information if somebody moves, if somebody gets a new phone number, changes their membership status, etc. And then delete is the ability to remove a record entirely. So it's very, like I said, it's granular. You control specifically a particular user's access to all of these individual things. As a general tool, when you're accessing any screen in Church Windows, and that includes this security section here, if you want to get more information for any screen that you have open in Church Windows, you can access a help screen by pressing the F1 key on your keyboard, and it will take you directly to a help screen describing what you're looking at. So if I press F1 right now, it takes me directly to a help screen for security and passwords. So you can get more information specifically about any part of the program by going into security and passwords. We only have 20 minutes for this webinar, so I'm in danger of going long on this section, but I want to show you kind of the way this stuff is going to work. I'm going to skip over to the donations tab. I'm going to remove access to the donations module for me as a user here. When you have completed entering somebody's information, you click the Save Permissions button, and it will save that information for that user. If you want to create new users, you click your Add button. You will want to have a separate username and password for every individual that uses the Church Windows program. It allows you to, we're getting better and better with auditing for everything that's entered into Church Windows and who was logged into the system when that information was entered in. So you do want to give every individual who uses the program their own separate login and their own permissions. Also, if you network the Church Windows program, it is required that everybody has their own username and password. So, more and more, this is becoming more important to our Church Windows program. I want to do a save and close and show you what happens once you have these folks entered into your security section in Church Windows. Now, when I launch the Church Windows program, after it spends a couple of moments here, again, ensuring that the connections to the databases are in good shape. Instead of taking me directly into the program, now it gives me a username and a password screen. So I can simply use my password here, enter my password I set up for myself here, and click OK, and it'll bring us into our program. Remember when I was setting myself up and my own permissions that I gave myself no access to the donations module. So you'll notice there's a little lock for an icon for donations. If I try to click on that, it will tell me I do not have permission to access this feature. So again, that is setting up usernames and passwords. Also, the other little detail here, of course, is that if somebody tries to open Church Windows and they do not have, they don't know anybody's username and password, they will not be able to get into the program at all. So that prevents somebody from just walking over to the computer, clicking on the icon, and not being able to get access to that. Okay. So the other thing we want to talk about in our webinar here today is backing up your data. The church Windows backup is not an automated function. So you can't set it and forget it type of a thing. It is something that you should do. I would recommend doing it at least on a weekly basis, getting a good backup of your data. Because as I always say about these backups, it is better to have it and not need it than it is to need it and not have it. So again, we recommend regularly backing up your data. This works very well with USB drives. So some folks call them flash drives, some people call them thumb drives, those little portable memory sticks you plug into your computer. And the other thing, I'm going to go ahead and show you the memory stick I have plugged in to the computer now. If I browse the computer, this is going to show you a list of all of the drives you have access to on your computer here. Underneath where it says devices with removable storage, there's my flash drive. When you use the Church Windows backup utility to back up to these flash drives, it renames your drive to PK back. So that will be an easy way to help you locate up your flash drive. If it's one that you're using Church Windows backups for, you'll see it listed as PK back. That'll be the title of your USB drive. So if I go to my USB drive, you'll see that I have already created a CW backup folder on my drive here. And if I double click on that, I have multiple folders that I have in here. This allows me to have several Church Windows backups. That way, if, God forbid, I deleted something on the 11th and I needed to go back to even prior to that to get access to that, I've still got my backup from April 4th, 2016. So that allows me to have different points in time to go back to. So I'm going to make a backup today, which is the 18th of April. So I'm going to click on my new folder button at the top, and I'm going to make an 04182016 folder, the 18th of April 2016. Then in my Church Windows program, in order to create a new backup to that directory, again, I'm going to go to my admin button, and this time I'm going to click on backup. That takes you to the backup data window where it asks you what parts of the program you wish to back up. The one we usually recommend is the one at the very top, membership, scheduler, donations, and accounting. That just makes sure you've got everything. If you're like the treasurer who is working off-site and the only information that you have in your program is the accounting module, for example, you could run an accounting only backup. Most of the time you're going to want to select that top option to back everything up on your system. Also, I want to point out that if you have pictures stored in your membership module, if you do pictorial directories in membership, for example, that the pictures backup is a separate backup. This option on the top is not going to back up the pictures that you have stored in your membership module. That is a separate option down here at the bottom where it says pictures. But for the most part, you're just going to be running this top option here. Down below this, it's going to ask you where you're going to send your file, your backup file to, and there is a browse button located to the right of that. So I'm going to click my browse button. There is my PK back drive and a CW backup folder I've created there. And I'm going to browse to my 4/18/2016 folder. Click OK. And to create a new backup, I simply click on Start Backup. That's going to take all of this information that I've got stored in Church Windows, compress all of that data, and send it to that zip folder on my USB drive. You'll see along the bottom the part of the backup that it is working on. Once it is complete, it's going to show you that your backup is completed successfully and how many files backed up. Now, yours is not going to probably be that many files, 966 files. We do a lot of training sessions on this computer, so there are hundreds of different report formats and label formats and things along those lines. So yours might say 20 out of 20 files backed up or 50 out of 50 files backed up. At the bottom, it'll tell you the size of your backup at the bottom there. Once you click OK, you're all set to go. When you click on the close button on your backup data window, you're all done. Let's go take a look at our USB drive. If I come to computer, I come to my PK back drive and I go to CW backup. There's my 418 2016 folder, and there's my backup. This one is called CW MSDA. That stands for Church Windows Membership Scheduler Donations Accounting, CWMSDA. We recommend that you take your backup off-site. So when you're done working for the day, you simply unplug your USB drive, put it in your pocket or in your purse, and carry it off-site with you. God forbid somebody breaks in and steals your computer, or there's a tornado or a flood or something like that that destroys your computers. If your backup is still in the office, or if you're backing up to a drive on your local computer, your backup goes with that computer. So that's why we recommend backing to a USB drive, taking that drive off-site. Hopefully you'll never need it, but if you do, it's better to have it. Okay, folks, that's all the time I've got here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're all set to get on with your day, hopefully your lovely spring day wherever you guys are, feel free to click on that X in the upper right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar control panel. And we'll talk to you on down the line. Thanks so much for joining me here, everybody.